Namaste. Greetings to everyone that is with us. And I want to offer a warm and loving welcome to my dearest of dearest spiritual brothers, my spiritual big brother, Swami Nirvanananda, all the way from Italy. And I just want to say how thrilled I am to be having this conversation with you again, because you are such a dear brother and you have such a dear place in my heart, but also because you are such a beautiful soul and there's so much light that comes through you, your music and your story. So I'm really pleased with this opportunity to have this conversation with you and to share it with everybody that is listening. So welcome, Swami.
Namaste. Thank you. Isha, thank you very much.
So I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction to Swami Nirvanananda. First of all, he is a monk of the Saraswati order from India. And for those of you that are not familiar with what a Swami is, probably the closest parallel is a Catholic monk. They take very similar vows: simplicity, poverty, chastity, and obedience. And a Swami's entire life is dedicated to loving God and loving God's children and loving God's creation. And you were made a Swami, if I remember right, in 1993. You took your final vows.
92.
92. And if I could say it this way, your ministry as a Swami really has been, in essence, serving the poor through your music and other efforts. Swami took an interest in a leper colony for children in India, run by a Catholic priest. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. What was his name, Swami?
Father Marian.
Father Marian. And Swami, over the years, has raised, through his kirtan and his sacred concert, he has raised a lot of money and has helped to build schools in India, has helped to feed children, and it has even been involved in funding a program that takes girls off the street, girls who have been involved in prostitute as the only way of surviving themselves, taking them off the streets and teaching them a vocation and skills so that they can be self-sufficient. And up in northern India, you did a lot of that work is around Puri, but up in northern India, I know you helped to build a school in a Tibetan or in a Buddhist area of northern India.
Ladakh. It's close to Tibet. Ladakh is the part of India.
Yes. So his whole life has really been dedicated to serving the poor. And it makes me think of a line from Jesus that all people will know you are my disciple by your love for one another and your love for humanity and for God's children. For those particularly that are suffering, is just such a bright, bright light and witness to the world. And as I mentioned before, Swami does these beautiful kirtans or sacred concerts all over the world. Typically, when we're not in COVID, he comes to the United States and spends 3 or 4 months in the United States giving concerts all over the United States. He'll spend a good week with us at the Assisi Institute here in Rochester and do a number of concerts, again, raising money that all of it goes to supporting these children and these people that are struggling in poverty in India and in other places also. And he's a wonderful musician besides, very gifted. So, Swami, this is my question. You were born in Italy.
Yes.
You were raised Catholic.
Yes.
How did you get to that point to being this Swami of mercy that you are all over the world? How did that journey begin? What brought you to this place?
Oh, it started when I was young. I must say I was very uneasy with the way of living. I was an employee in an insurance company, wearing a tie and all the things, you know.
It's kind of hard to imagine you now wearing a tie.
The tie was not orange, anyhow. And I had no idea how to keep on living because I was really dissatisfied with the way where I was staying, my surroundings, the so-called friends that I was living with. Then what happened? That was that was my first miracle. I would say my whole life has been a miracle, many miracles, one after the other. A friend gave me a book, a very special book, the book that changed my life completely. It's the Autobiography of a Yogi
Yes.
by Paramahansa Yogananda. When I read that book, I said, oh, this is the way I want to live. I don't want to keep on going like this, just to have a salary at the end of the month, and but just without any sense of living, with no purpose, with nothing. So, but I didn't know how to realize or how to concretize these things. And it happened, another miracle. The company where I was living, they decided to give 3 years of salary to all the people who wanted just to quit the job. And I say, I'm the first. So I signed immediately. I quit the job. And for 3 years, I said, for 3 years, I will get the money enough just without being involved in the job, in the work. And I can study, I can go and practice yoga, because at the beginning, I didn't know much. So I first started to meditate, to practice hatha yoga, becoming vegetarian, all the things that I needed to have a spiritual life. And slowly, everything worked out very well. And after that, I was initiated into Kriya Yoga by a guru disciple of Sri Yukteswar, Swami Nirvanananda. When I was visiting some friends in Holland, they brought me there, and so it happened that I was initiated, and really more and more my life completely changed, because Kriya Yoga, it's not just a meditation. It's, as you said before, it's completely changing and living a different way of life completely. And from alpha, omega, everything. And so then my desire was to go to India, because after reading so many times the Autobiography of a Yogi, I wanted to see the places that Yogananda is talking about. And so I went in 86 for the first time, and it was a shock, because it's not India that Yogananda is talking about, because after so many years everything has been more difficult, and so many people and everywhere. But I was guided, I would say, because after being in Varanasi, I wanted to visit the most holiest place in India, on the banks of the Ganges. Then I didn't know exactly where to go, so I went to Calcutta, and in Calcutta I wanted to meet Mother Teresa. So I went there, and when I met her, she asked me if I could help a little bit, no? Because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm nothing. But so I was told to feed the poor people, because she was going around during the street in the streets and collecting people dying people. So they were so weak, they could not have the strength of touching a spoon to bring the food to the mouth. no, so weak people. So I just had to feed them like a baby, like a new baby, and put the food in the mouth. Then the
Swami, let me just say, if I can ask you one question. What was that experience like, feeding these people that were so poor, so suffering, starving?
it was I, at the beginning it was shocking, but then like you said, I could imagine they were just because they could have maybe few more hours. They could have died. They could have died, and so they were like newborn baby because it was like a new life for them. And so I felt they were just babies. I was feeding babies.
Mhm.
And not only that, because the the blood could not really flow in the body. So they asked me to give them some very light massage, to help the circulation of the blood. And so day after day, I was going there every morning because I was staying in a small hotel nearby. And early in the morning, I was visiting Mother Teresa's house where she was staying with all the sisters, and we were praying all together. It was beautiful to be there in very early in the morning. You could really feel that all the sisters, they were like, through the prayers, they were like recharging themselves because the whole day would be very difficult, very heavy, so many things. And but through the prayer, through the presence of our Mother Teresa, everything was getting more love and help from God. You could really feel it. So for about a week, I was doing like this, but at the same time, in India for the first year, it's food is not easy. So I got some problem with my bowels,
Your
and so
digestive system.
yes, probably some water that was not because at that time uh, I remember. Now you everywhere you go in India you can buy a bottle of water like here, no bottle of water. It's pure, it's safe. But at that time, there was no water available like this. So I remember for 3 months, I was just drinking tea, uh, orange juice, whatever, but no water because I never. Probably there was anyhow some problems with some water somewhere, and so they told me just don't come now because it's better for you to heal your sickness. So I decided to go to Puri. Puri is the place, where Sri Yukteswar's ashram was and still is. At that time, he found it in Puri because Puri is one of the most holiest place in India since there is this Jagannath temple, the Lord of the Universe temple, that attracts millions of people there every year. So I went to Puri by train. It's a night train. It's just about 12 hours. And when I arrived in Puri, I went to see this Sayukteswar ashram, and it was so beautiful. And I stopped there to meditate. But still, I was feeling sick, and I had to run many times during the day to the bathroom and so on. So I remember one day I was feeling so bad that I decided that I needed to lay down, but I couldn't inside the temple. So I just turned around the temple, the Samadhi Mandir, where Sri is buried, on the backside. I lay down there and I fell asleep. I don't know how long. But what happened that when I awoke, I felt completely healed, completely. As nothing was before. This was another miracle. Just
I'd never heard that story before. That's a beautiful.
I never told you. Oh.
No, that's beautiful.
So
Just and if I could just make a comment about that, just
yeah, please.
it's where Sri Yukteswar was buried, and those of you who might not be familiar with Kriya Yoga and the lineage, Sri Yukteswar was Yogananda's guru, and he was a great, great saint. I mean, just it's hard to put it into words. But the point I want to make is that when we make a pilgrimage to a sacred place where a saint has been buried or a saint has lived or a saint has blessed, the energy there, the vibrations are very strong. And so that their energy, their grace is still available to us. So I just want to underscore that for people that we need in this secular society that we need a sense of the sacred, and we need a sense of sacred places that we can visit and be recharged spiritually.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, keep going, Swami.
No. So after that, I met some friends from Holland, and they told me, "Oh, there is a Italian nun who is living here. Do you want to meet her?" And I said, "Oh, yes, it would be nice." So they introduced me to this Italian nun, and she said, "Okay, today in the afternoon we are going to visit the lepers' colony. Would you like to come with us?" And I said, "Oh, no." I was afraid because lepers is always a word that scares. And but I say, "Okay, I trust you. I come with you." So I went with her in an ambulance. They had a Red Cross ambulance, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor was visiting also, so we were all together with other nuns. So when we arrived at the lepers colony, I met Father Marian. Father Marian was now a Catholic priest, as you said, and he had a very incredible story because he was born in Poland, and during the Nazi occupation of Poland, they just took him and other people who were studying to become priests. No, they all were brought to Dachau. Dachau is a concentration camp in southern Germany, before just near Munich. So he lived there for more than 3 years, and he survived. I think of the whole group of the students, he was the only one who survived.
Wow.
And he was making a joke, because after living such an experience, must be, I have no words to say how terrible it must have been. But he was making a joke. He said, "My name is Marian Zelazek with Z, no?" And so he said, "I was always the last in the list, so they never reached the bottom of the list."
Oh, wow.
But this is not true, of course. This is because of his karma, whatever
Yes.
his
Yes.
karma was. And
God had other plans for him.
oh, definitely. Big ones. Big ones.
Yes. Yes.
So now big plans, because now the whole story of Father Marian is now in Vatican, because they proposed him to become a saint.
Thanks.
So now we see why he was saved. And when he finished, he could speak very well Italian because he studied also in Rome after. So we were talking in Italian, and it happened that he decided to go to India and to give his life like a missionary, to help, like Mother Teresa. They are missionaries not to convert anyone, but just to help the poor people.
Yes.
So I felt that Father Marian was very close to Mother Teresa that I just had met in Calcutta. And so I was going, after meeting him, he introduced me and showed me the whole village. It's a big village with more than 500 families. They are all lepers, but they have family. Usually the lepers are kept in hospitals, no? But he arranged the whole thing like a village so they could marry among the lepers and they could have also children. And all the children are safe and all the children are healthy children. It's beautiful. Because he was helped, Father Marian, he received by the German government, because he spent so many years in the concentration camp, they gave him a pension. With that money from the German government, he could start and build the whole village. So, this, miracles after miracles.
A miracle.
Yeah, that's true. So he liked also that I could sing for the children, for the lepers. It was very nice. And then I was not scared anymore because we could just, after visiting the colony, you really feel this deep friendship with all the lepers. And I can imagine St. Francis when he met the leper for the first time. No? And but if you feel the love, the need of love they have, because if just to give, usually in India the greetings is made with like pranam, like this, to one each other, but they like to shake hands with you, because usually nobody wants to touch them.
Yes.
No, but the doctor also told me there's no problem. You can, because they got all the medicine, they are cured. So the disease has been stopped, but what they missed, fingers or other parts of the body, it's missed, but they are not contagious anymore. So the most beautiful thing is just to shake hands with the leper. And you see their eyes, you see their smile, how beautiful because they feel that you are not scared from them. So beautiful. So it's a wonderful experience.
If I could just make a little comment, Swami.
Yes.
That as we go through our day-to-day lives, the people that we meet, they may not be physical lepers, but they may be emotional lepers.
Yes.
And the willingness to make contact with them and to give love to everybody. Yes. Someone once asked Mother Teresa, probably many times, like a photographer or a businessman would say, well, what can I do? And she would say, love your wives, love your husbands, love your neighbors, love your enemies, treat everybody as though they are a child of God, and they're all lepers in their own way. So that's a beautiful thing that I think we can take away from what you were saying.
Yes, yes. It is. Wonderful experience, wonderful. So we became friends, I could say, and almost every day I was going to visit him, and because he liked that I could cook for him spaghetti. He likes spaghetti. So I was preparing food for him, not only for him, of course, for other friends who were visiting him. and we were really enjoying to be together. So at the same time, then in the evening, I was going and meditate in the ashram of Sri Yukteswar. So it was really beautiful experience to be in Puri, because at that time, Puri was like an oasis,
Oasis.
yes, where there was no really a car. There were
No,
only bicycles, so
right,
there was no pollution near the ocean. It's a
right,
beautiful place. After visiting Calcutta, because Calcutta it
right.
was at the time terrible, and so I spent there maybe a couple of months, and then I really felt also, as you said, how can I help you? No, and he said, okay, we don't need you here because we have so many other workers. But if you go back home in Italy, I will give you 7 pictures of children, and then you will ask to your friends if somebody is willing to sponsor them to help them. Because the problem with the children is that even if they are healthy children, they are not allowed to go to a government school, to a normal school. So he had to build at the beginning a small school for the children of the lepers colony. And uh, and so he said, if you can find some sponsor for them, it will help them and help the school. And I say, okay. So I had no program. I had no idea what's going on. So when I went back to Italy, I spoke with a friend who was living in Milano, and he was a good producer in TV, and he said, I can help you and organize some concert for you. And then we see, we show the pictures. We had, at the same time, I had taken so many pictures we can show to the friends, and if somebody will sponsor them. And so everything started like this. And now we have more than 1,200 children. So from 7 in all this time, there are so many more. But it was not planned, not planned by me at least. Some.
Well, if I can just share two thoughts just to pick up on that. I want to go back to the very beginning of your story, that you were feeling this discontent on the inside.
Yes, yes, true.
And, you know, sometimes people come to me for counseling and they have that discontent
Yeah.
and they think there is something psychologically wrong with them. But
Hmm.
often it's not. It's their hunger for something bigger and better. It's their hunger for God. It's their hunger for a noble, selfless life.
Yeah.
It's God stirring within them, and you listen to it. The second thing I just want to underscore in your story and bring it up to just what you were saying is that you decided to live your life for God.
Yeah.
And there's a line from Jesus in the New Testament where he said, seek first the kingdom of God, and everything else you need will be given unto you. And
Yeah.
so you gave your life over to God, and that, in a sense, gave God permission to take the
Mm.
strands of your life, the strands of Father Marian's life, these lepers and Puri, and weave them all together.
Yes.
And you just kept on saying yes and yes. And when we say yes, we give God permission then to work these miracles in our lives,
Yeah,
like
true.
like your very first concert.
Yes, true.
That's beautiful.
So many miracles.
Yes.
So you were asking how I became a Swami.
Yes.
And so I kept on going to India every year to meet Father Marian, and I was visiting Puri for a long time because I liked Puri so much, because it's near the ocean. I was born also in a town near the ocean in Italy, and the ocean is part of my life so very deeply. And when I was there, I was staying in a yoga ashram, in where there was a Holy Mother, and she was direct disciple of Swami Shivananda of Rishikesh.
Wow.
So my deepest desire was always to become a Swami, to find out how to receive the sannyas. And in '92, after being there for many years, not long time, but every year, she asked me, "Do you want to become a Swami?" And I said, "Oh, yes, that would be wonderful." But usually when they ask you, it starts a period of time that can last maybe 5, 10 years or even more to become a Swami. But she said, no, we can do it tomorrow. I was nearly fainting. you know, Tomorrow, because she said astrologically it's a good day. So she arranged for the whole ceremony. It's a nice ceremony. I want to mention because I really like it. So in the early morning, before the rising of the sun, I went with a Swami to the beach, and I had a white cloth all covered my body. So I entered into the ocean, and I left the white cloth there, and I came out of the water, and he covered me with the orange cloth.
Oh,
beautiful, no?
It's beautiful. Can you explain the significance of the color orange for Swamis?
Yes, the orange is the color that symbolizes the fire. The fire is the element that burns all impurities.
Yes.
And also a symbol of sun, light. So in India, when you see an orange, you see, oh, I'm safe because you can go to a holy man or
Yes.
holy woman. So then we enter into the ashram, and she performed a fire ceremony. And at the end, she said, I will give you the name of Swami Nirvanananda. She chose it for me, and she said, I am not your guru. I know your guru is Paramahansa Yogananda, so I will perform the ceremony in his name.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's really, I couldn't imagine something so wonderful.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. And then, so it lasted almost the whole day, the ceremony with the fire and the mantras and everything. And so I became Swami Nirvanananda Saraswati, because Saraswati is the order of Swami Shivananda of Rishikesh.
Mm-hmm.
And Saraswati, is the goddess of art, music, especially for me. So I felt really, I'm at home. It's a good family for me.
Yes.
And then, so that is why I became Swami, how I became. And then I kept on traveling, of course, to India, to America. I used to come the following year, it was 93, it was the centennial of the birth of Yogananda. So there was a big meeting in California, and so I had so many contacts there and so many kirtan going on. And so the 7 children became 100 and 200, 300, more and more and more, and many other projects started,
Well, I'd like to say this, it's that it's a true miracle that you are a Swami and a celibate, but yet you support all of these children. We have all of these children in India. It's like it's like the virgin birth. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Let me just shift a little bit, and I want to tell about the first time you and I met, but I want you to comment on I think an important piece of that.
Mm-hmm.
First time we met, it was 2007, 2008 in a Kriya conference in Atlanta, Georgia, a Kriya Yoga conference that Roy Eugene Davis, a direct disciple of Yogananda, was leading. And we were in the swimming pool together, and we hadn't met yet. And
Yeah.
I want to tell everybody that you had orange swimming trunks on. You were being
Yeah.
true to the Swami. And I was wearing a Franciscan cross, the towel.
Mhm.
And you came to me and you saw the towel and you said, "Do you love Francis?" And I said, "Yes." And you said, "Do you love Yogananda?" And I said, "Yes." And you said, "Do you love Jesus too?" And I said, "Yes." And we hugged in the water in the pool. And we've been brothers ever since then. But there's a point in sharing that story, because I think one of the wonderful aspects of your ministry as a Swami and your music is you really integrate East and West and the universality of God's love. You're very devoted to Francis, for example, of
Yes.
Assisi.
True.
Can you talk a little bit about that in your life and how you weave those different pieces together?
Yes. After being to India, I came in contact in Italy with the Ananda community. They
Mm-hmm.
just started a center in near Assisi. So for me, it was a wonderful opportunity
Yes.
to go there and and to discover my love for St. Francis that I always had as a child, but being there, Assisi is very not only a holy place; it's a miracle place. It's so beautiful. So I've, many ask me also, why why did you choose to be a Swami and not to be a monk, a San Franciscan monk? And I would think, yes, I could be both. You remember once I dressed with
As
a
St. Francis, yeah,
yes,
yes, the Francis, yes. It
and
looked
I
very
thought,
natural. It looked very natural.
yes, I believe in reincarnation, so for me it is probably I was already a monk in San Franciscan order, and maybe now I
I
needed
think
to go on the other side.
I think we were brothers together in a Franciscan
Yeah,
order.
that's possible. Yeah.
Yes.
So I felt that because of all the teachings of Yogananda is also very similar. He said, "I'm come here to combine all the spiritual truth of the East with the spiritual truth of the West, because God is one, and we just need to find all the similarities." And I felt this, and I still, for me, it's so important. The one truth can lead the whole world in the spiritual discovery without fighting each other, but finding all the similarities, all the what is hidden behind the appearances.
Yes, I think that where God is evolving the human race and in human consciousness is not that we leave our histories or our
No, no, no.
lineages behind, but that we recognize that we're all drinking from the same well.
Yes,
And there really is only one eternal religion.
yes,
It may have different manifestations within different cultures, but there's only one eternal religion. And any religion that doesn't embrace everyone and the eternal aspect of God, it's not a true religion.
yes.
The true
True.
true religion, there's one true path, one true religion, and it really embraces all of the individual paths. And I think if we're going to survive as a race, we need to begin to see each other through that lens, that we really are all brothers and sisters and drinking from the same well of God's love and life.
Yes, Yes, I
So
agree
I've
completely.
always loved that aspect of your work and your ministry, how you really do try to embrace all, and all are welcome.
Yes. Yeah, for me to sing the different names of God, uh, they move my heart at the same. You know, if I sing Jesus, if I sing Krishna, my heart starts dancing because
Yeah, yes. I've seen your heart dance often. Yes.
so I hope that one day there will people will understand each other much better than it's now. What's going on now?
I do think slowly but surely we are
But sure,
moving in that direction, slowly but surely.
yes,
Because again, what you said is true. That was Yogananda's message, that
yes,
to help us to transcend all of our sectarian differences and to see
yes,
that we really are all one.
yes,
And
yes,
so again, that has always been, I think, such an inspirational part of your life and your ministry. It's quite beautiful.
yes. And I would say that really the autobiography helped me to understand the whole thing. Otherwise, eh, I was confused before, and I think many people are still confused. But reading that book, everything it's like a puzzle, and all the pieces come together
Yes.
naturally, and and then you see the truth, how it really is. It's so
Yes.
beautiful.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Before I read the autobiography of a yogi, I had a good friend. He was my first meditation teacher here in Rochester. And he had a living guru from India. He was a Sikh guru.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And he wanted me to follow his guru. I mean, not he didn't pressure me, but he would suggest that. And I would just say,
Mm-hmm.
no, somehow I have to bring Jesus into this.
Yes,
But I
yes,
didn't know how. And then I read the autobiography of a yogi,
yes,
and three things happened. I fell in love with Yogananda,
yes.
and I saw that I could have both Yogananda and Jesus.
Yes,
And thirdly, Yogananda had a strong devotion to St. Francis. And
yes,
ever since I was a teenager, I had a devotion to St. Francis. So for me, it was perfection. It was God led me to the perfect place. But again, opening me up to that bigger realization
yes,
that God's life permeates everything. The one divine life permeates everything and everyone. And we have to start living from that reality.
yeah. I embrace all your thoughts. So
Yes,
good.
yes, yes. So, just a couple more questions, Swami. One is, you've told me some of your stories that I would like if you could, because to share the story. Many years ago, before you were Swami, you
Yes.
met a priest who was a disciple of Padre Pio. And this was even
Oh,
before you were thinking of being a Swami.
yes,
What he
yes,
said to you, and you could just see that, God's plan is there waiting to unfold in our life. If you would share that story.
yes. I was with another friend, and he needed to meet a priest. And when we enter into the hall, he looked at me and said, "Oh, who is that monk? Who is that monk coming?" I was looking around. Where is the monk? He saw probably
He saw what you were going
my
to
future.
be.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I say, God has such a marvelous plan for us. It's there
Yes.
in the ether. It's a blueprint.
It
And the
is.
more we just open ourselves and say yes and yes, that plan unfolds. One more question, Swami. The whole world is going through a difficult time on so many levels. There's COVID, there's financial stress, there's political stress. Here in America, the divisiveness is horrible. What advice do you have for people in terms of getting through this time, getting through this challenge, this purification that we are undergoing?
Yes. Also here in Europe, in Italy, everywhere, I would say people are almost crazy. So I can see also the that is a wonderful occasion to have more dedication to God, to deep much more, to develop a deeper relationship with God. I think this is the goal of our life, and now we have the chance to do it. Not only, oh, I have only half an hour to meditate today. No, why? I can meditate 2, 3 hours, or even a whole day. Now, if I'm locked at home, I cannot go out. I don't. I just switch off the TV and start going deeper and deeper with my love for God. You know, I'm a bhakti man, and for me, devotion is everything. Because maybe I don't know if I told you, before being initiated into Kriya Yoga, the same friend who gave me the autobiography, he was a Buddhist. He was practicing Zen Buddhism. So he wanted me to go also on his way, and I say, okay, I practice with him. But you know, I was missing the presence of the devotion. I was missing God, as we have in our spirituality. It's so, I was missing the devotion. And when I found out that through the Kriya Yoga initiation, I could have all this, it was really another miracle. So
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's again when after reading the autobiography myself and then being initiated, it was such a gift because Yogananda, as a layperson, as a householder, he said, "You too should be a saint. You too should." It's not just for monks. And then how to do that in my day-to-day life as a husband, as a father, but also the way Yogananda taught it is to allow that devotion, that love for God and all of God's saints to flourish. It's such a beautiful, perfect, perfect. Every day I thank God for Yogananda, and I thank Yogananda for being Yogananda and bringing this wonderful mission to the West. And again, it really is a universal mission and message that embraces everyone. So now one more really important thing I want to say about your life, Swami, that you have the best marinara recipe in the whole world.
It's a secret.
And it's a secret, but you shared the secret with me. So
Yes,
now I can give that marinara joy to my
you can.
family
Yeah.
and to my friends. It is the best it is the best marinara sauce in the whole world. And I have this little fantasy in my brain, Swami,
Yes.
that someday we will make marinara sauce and sell it at the grocery stores, and it'll be called Swami's marinara sauce. And then a portion of the proceeds will go to the lepers and all the children that you
Thank you.
serve.
Thank you.
So I still
Wonderful.
think about that maybe someday we will do that. It'll be your recipe. It'll be Swami's marinara
Wow,
sauce,
Swami.
but we cannot give the recipe away.
No.
No, our lips are sealed.
Muto como un peixe.
His Italian phrase there is dumb like a fish.
Yeah.
We know nothing. I just want to share this about you. Whenever you come to the United States or we join you in Italy, one of the great joys is that we laugh together, and there is so much joy that just exudes from you. I just want to say that being a spiritual follower doesn't mean that you have to be sour and sad.
No, no.
Francis of Assisi said once, "A sad saint is a sad saint indeed."
Indeed.
so that you bring much joy to everyone and to all the people. And I would encourage people to look your music up on YouTube. That people that don't have your CDs and aren't familiar with your music, it is just so beautiful. Such a high vibration comes from you. So one last thing, Swami, if people want to make a donation to your efforts and stay connected with you, I know you have a website if you want to give that. And we'll also, when this is published, we will make sure it's written there for people. But do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, it is called shantipurifriends.org or
Mhm.
nirvanananda.org. And all
Okay.
the information about the projects are there, and also the music is can be downloaded. And if you need, you can write to me. Can I always answer? Not
Yeah.
every day, but
Yes. No, I will vouch to that. Swami always answers. And if people, one of the sweet things about sponsoring a child, Vicky and I sponsor a child or two every year, is that at least once a year the children will write you a letter and you get a
yes,
picture of
I'm
them.
just
So it's not,
receiving them. Yes,
yes, so it's not just this anonymous. You really have a sense of who this real person is, and
and
really
how they
just makes
grow.
it.
You see how they grow.
They see how they grow and develop over the years, and it just makes it more real, more personal. So I wanted to add that in. And the last thing, Swami, is would you give us a blessing?
Okay, I want to say, don't be afraid. Pray and use your time to become a saint now. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Oh,
Namaste.
thank you so much, Swami. You are mio carissimo fratello, my dearest brother, my big brother in this spiritual journey. We love you so much in Rochester, New York, and at the Assisi Institute.
Mm.
And those of you that are tuning in, if you like this podcast, please give it a like and subscribe. I'm going to be doing podcasts at least twice a month with different people who bring light and truth and beauty into the world. So I'd love to have you subscribe, give it a like, and make a comment. Thank you so much. We love you. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Namaste. And
Namaste.
blessings to everyone who is tuned in.